Since I come from and still reflect blue-collar roots, many of my YouTube viewers, subscribers, and friends, as well as my hometown friends, have asked me how I have come to possess such a vast and detailed knowledge on so many topics such as 9/11, the secret societies, the monetary system, and world and military history. Well, in the first sentence is the first hint, and that is my blue-collar background. It takes diligence and hard work. But more importantly, it takes a great deal of humility and courage to recognize and accept the fact that you have been duped by your government, the media, and even leaders of the truth and activist movements. The first step is to gather information. There are infinite ways to do this. Interviews, newspapers, news reports, books. Read. It may be boring, but read. If you want to know and understand the world you live in, read. One of the best books I ever read was published in 1972 by an investigative journalist named Gary Allen. The title is None Dare Call It Conspiracy. This book helped me gain such an understanding of the current state of politics in the United States that I can't recommend this book highly enough to anybody who wishes to research. Don't expect anybody to go out there and do all the work for you and just spoon-feed you the answers. If you do, you're nothing more than another sheep, and you are too easily led around by the nose. Websites and search engines are also a great tool. Google is an amazing thing. With their alert system, if you are researching something and are just not satisfied or want to keep up to date on it, you can place an alert in your email, and then if something were to pop up on that topic, Google will give you a notification. Subscribe to newsletters. American Free Press, Global Research are both great sources of information. Documentary films are a good source. But be wary of documentary films, as many are nothing more than propaganda. You must scrutinize the information very closely. Wikipedia is also a good place to start, since they provide many other links on the topic, individual, organization, or event that you are researching. One of the best techniques that I have found using Google is, in my 9/11 research, I would take a suspect's name, type it in, and use 9/11 as the suffix. Oftentimes you will get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of results. And then you can go through that information and disseminate it. Be creative. Type in anything and see what happens. If you're researching a particular topic or a particular person, type in something that you suspect might tie into that person along with their name or that event, and see what happens. You never know. It's something that I try all the time, and I'm just amazed at what happens. Never accept one source as an absolute, credible, or reliable source. Scrutinize those sources and fact-check everything through other sources. Another important tip is to conduct your research without any distractions. I know I sound like a school teacher demanding silence and attention in the classroom, but it's difficult to absorb and retain information if your favorite TV show or ball game is playing in the background. You must not only use your critical thinking and deductive reasoning skills, but it's important to reflect on your efforts and also refine your methods of thinking, your methods of disseminating that information, and thus your critical analysis will become more accurate. And you will find, the further you apply this philosophy, the more advanced your research skills will become. It's also important to have discussions and reflections with other researchers, whether online or through your personal friends. I'm a firm believer in the philosophy that nobody is smarter than all of us. By collaborating your efforts with other researchers, you will solve many more riddles than you ever will on your own. Another excellent source is the archives, whether it's news archives or the Library of Congress or encyclopedias. It's always good to look through archives for information. It's also important to recognize how many of the history books have been rewritten. So older books and older educational formats and textbooks, I find, are usually much more reliable than the bullshit they peddle to the youth today as an education. Be humble. So many people have praised me for the efforts and research that I have done, but I must give credit to all the researchers, activists, journalists, and investigators that blazed the trail before me. Realize what the word research means. You're researching. That means you're searching again what somebody else has already done. Give the credit where it's due to the people that have done the work ahead of you. Also, give credit to yourself, though, as you come to learn to analyze information and come to your own conclusions. You must also scrutinize who is funding or advocating particular websites before you consider what the information they are presenting as to be credible or not credible. A good example is Alex Jones. Although some of his documentary films contain some of the best information that you can find on these global changes that are occurring and the geopolitical arena, it's important to recognize sometimes what is left out can present the most compelling evidence. This is an area where my own humility had been piqued, and I had to refine my own research methods a little more thoroughly. The Unhived Mind is a great website. They go a little deeper than everybody else as far as the secret societies, the Jesuits, and the Vatican. And if you'll notice, they have some videos regarding Jason Burmis and Alex Jones, and the one thing that they leave out of all of their efforts, and that is the Jesuits. And you can apply this to other sources of information as well. Always look for what is left out, because there may be another completely and totally hidden agenda lurking just below the surface. Another good example is this guy. An alleged truth movement leader. This guy is a physicist, yet he refuses to address aircraft design limitations and the impact dynamics of the absurdity of an aluminum airliner cutting through a high-rise building. When you can see with your own eyes right here what a bird does to an airliner, imagine what 450,000 tons of steel and concrete would have done to that airliner. And while he advocates controlled demolition, he refuses to address the fact that not only can an airliner not do this to a building, a controlled demolition cannot do this to a building. Ponder that for a while, and you'll start to get a much better idea of just how many layers there are to this massive cover-up of this massive crime. One area where I have recently focused my research is on the media, because I firmly believe that once the media has been exposed, that the entire syndicate will collapse faster than a high-rise building in a controlled demolition. But if you notice, the History Channel, Discovery Channel, and National Geographic have all been producing a number of debunking films, from 9/11 to the Kennedy assassination to the Freemasons. But if you pay close attention to what's missing, you will see how they are flawed. I point this out in my National Geographic videos, how they ignore all the documentary and historical evidence, the financial information, all of the above, to get the casual observer or newcomer to these facts, that there's nothing more significant to these theories and that they may be dismissed and put to rest. But when you conduct your own research and come to your own conclusions, you will find just how laughable these pathetic attempts at debunking really are. So hopefully this short video will answer any questions you have on how I've come to gather what I see as a puny and insignificant amount of knowledge compared to those that have blazed that trail ahead of me. And you can add these tips to your tool bag. And if you have other tips that weren't presented here, I'm more than willing to apply and try anything. I'm thirsty for knowledge, and I'm willing to share with others, and I hope they're willing to share with me as well. And here's a challenge to any debunkers out there, or anyone who will advocate the absurd falsity of the official versions of 9/11 or the Kennedy assassination or any of the above, to go and use some of these research tips and then come back and argue with a straight face in support of the government. It's laughable, and it's more of an insult than anything. So anyway, again, thanks to all my supporters and subscribers and viewers and friends. Your input is always of great value to me, and I appreciate all the supportive comments that I get on my channel and on my videos. Regards from the Pacific Front.